So I'm not 100% sure what this video is going to be called, but I just want to talk about this thing, this person, this creature, this diabolical villain known as the Joker. Okay, well, I know that's not too crazy, like, oh, okay, you're talking about one of the most popular villains ever. Yeah, I know, right? I get it. But I've been watching, as most of y'all know from previous videos, that I've been watching the older 2004 through 2008 known as the Batman, and it's a Looney Tunes, or at least I know that it's from Looney Tunes technically, like it was branded that way, at least on Netflix right now, and it's an older show. And one thing I did realize is how terrifying this version of the Joker is. Like, seriously, this was made in 2004 to 2008, and I'm gonna be honest, it was obviously made for kids. I mean, to an extent, at least, right? You have the Looney Tunes kind of label with Bugs Bunny and stuff, but as an adult watching this would have given me freaking nightmares, or at least the Joker would have given me nightmares. And I'm sure a lot of you would be like, oh, well, when I was a kid, you know, this was easy, like this wouldn't scare me at all, okay? But I was a little wimp when I was a kid, okay? I'm still kind of a wimp, but that's beyond the point. But I just know that this version of the Joker would have terrified me and probably given me nightmares when I was younger, right? I want to start by saying this. His design itself puts him up there with some of the most terrifying Jokers that really ever exist. In my opinion, Joker's always been a pretty scary kind of person because you get the whole clown aesthetic, but he's like a weird creature at the same time. But here's the thing. This version of Joker is a clown. Yes, for the normal standpoint, is a clown. But his whole demeanor, the green dreadlocks, the hunched over posture, right? The exaggerated sharp features, it makes him look so animalistic. It makes his physical appearance extremely jarring, and it adds this whole chaotic nature to something that we really don't see enough of, right? We know Joker is an agent of chaos, don't get me wrong, but when they interpret the Joker, a lot of times when we interpret the Joker, we see him more for chaos on the actions he does. But when you add that layer of appearance to him, where he's genuinely scary, right? When he's genuinely scary looking, it's a completely different layer of just horror added on to what the Joker already is, right? The Joker in the show is absolutely unhinged. He's erratic, he has violent outbursts, bizarre plans, but at the same time, it still holds this like jokey, kid-like demeanor in a way, right? Some of the plans that Joker does are very kid-like. He basically, on one of the episodes, he goes up and he completely dismantles or kind of changes the face of a, well, giant statue, right? I believe, if I'm correct, it's called the rubber face of comedy is what the episode is called. But he basically changes the face of this statue to be more Joker-like, right? Of course, he's going to make a laugh out of everybody. That's his whole thing. And then we get like a scene which I believe this is beforehand, so don't quote me if I'm wrong, but I believe this is before the whole disfacing thing. But you get a scene where he basically goes into a car or like a minivan and he sprays it with this Joker-like substance that makes it extremely bouncy, and him and his henchmen like bounce away. Which as a kid, I could see this being, you know, funny, maybe goofy, something like that. But for the most part, I really, as an adult, don't really find it to be that crazy, right? It's kind of a goofy gag. You get something like this where it doesn't seem too scary. Joker doesn't seem too terrifying based on this. But then you look at him, the way he acts, the way he approaches certain situations, and then you go from him bouncing away with his henchmen, you know, while bouncing in a minivan, just up and down and going across the city. But then you get to a different time, a different, completely different kind of situation where Joker is so much more terrifying, right? We're in a situation where Joker lures Batman into this like kind of clown, kind of carnival like area, and let's be honest, it is scary. Like, it is scary, and I'm sure a lot of people have had some sort of fear of these like carnival areas where there's like these weird mirrors and stuff like that. I mean, we even have this kind of horror trope be enforced in, I think, if I'm correct, things like Pennywise or that type of franchise. And you have this in a kids show where it's Joker being chased by Batman into like this mirrored room, and it is pretty damn unnerving. But that's not the only thing that makes Joker so scary, in my opinion. What also makes Joker so scary is all of the things that he does just mentally to people, right? In normal Joker fashion, we know that he is, you know, someone who is mentally, you know, kind of messed up. And we've seen him on multiple occasions break people's mentals and psyches to a large degree. But this is, I want to remind everybody, a kids show. This is a kids show for all means necessary. And, well, we get him absolutely just flat out torturing one of Bruce Wayne's friends, Ethan Bennett, like torturing him and turning him into something absolutely insane, being that of the villain Clayface. He's basically able to manipulate Bennett, and the way he manipulates him is absolutely terrifying. I mean, he obviously uses his vintage like laughing gas to break him down mentally, showing him different kind of like hypnotic trances, getting him to basically break his mind, or more or less breaking Ethan Bennett's mind, or the detective in this scenario. Now, we see this a lot with the Joker in this kind of series of events. The Joker has, or is always going to play that mental game, right? There's times where this version of the Joker like is doing something very basic, you could say, right? We're just doing something like or like, you know, messing up the face of a statue, or stealing from a bank, or doing this or doing that. But then you get scenarios like this where we're watching a kids show and he's full on torturing this dude, like full on torturing him. And on top of that, we even get an episode where the Joker becomes even more terrifying when he temporarily turns Batman into a version of himself. Yeah, I mean, I know it's a very basic trope and something we see quite a lot with the whole Joker-Batman dynamic, but this version of the Joker being able to do this on a kids show, or doing this on a kids show, kind of making even Batman lose control over the Joker's influence, it's very unsettling. And they really hammer in the kind of psychological aspect of Joker himself, right? And his obsession with chaos, his tormenting of Gotham. I honestly and truly believe that they did a hell of a job on Joker. They did a really good job on Joker, because we're talking about a Joker that only wants chaos. Like, he'll get chaos wherever he possibly can, and that's kind of like what the episode of The Laughing Bat was, right? Yes, he did mentally mess up and basically F with Batman's mind, and that would include the whole city as well, but he also would don the Batman suit and even impersonate Batman to a large degree too. He would just mess with, tamper with, and just basically just estrange anybody's mind he possibly could. And I'm gonna say it again, and I'll probably end up saying it once more before this video ends, but when you're dealing with a children's show, because this is a children's show, it's very difficult to make it somewhat PG, but actually still give the effect of how terrifying the Joker is. And initially and personally, I wasn't a big fan of the voice acting. This Joker is voiced by Kevin Michael Richardson, and I wasn't too big of a fan of it. I thought, I don't know how I feel about the deep voice and this and that, but then I realized the maniac laugh, right? The maniacal laugh, the maniacal voice, it might be different, but it doesn't mean it's bad. It was so, like, I realized very quickly how good he truly was here, and how good it truly was at making me feel like Joker really was just trying to do every single thing just for a laugh. That's all he was doing. Every single thing Joker was doing was because he thought was funny, because it was going to have an impact, but he still had that version of himself where he was holding on to this idea of he needs to be more threatening than everyone else, that he needs to be a bigger deal than everyone else. Because there's even a frame and a time where the kind of the cops and the investigators are like, no, we need to bring in Batman at least. And Joker's like, what do you mean you gotta bring in Batman? Like, I'm way worse than Batman. And don't ever forget that I'm way worse than Batman. And it's a pretty crazy thing because they do portray all the great aspects, in my opinion, of what the Joker is pretty damn good in an old, not only an older television show, but also a kids television show, which I'm not gonna lie. Like I said before, if I watched this when I was a kid, I would be having nightmares. This Joker is sadistic, is a maniac. He really leans on mental torture, and yeah, he has his little goofs here and there with his funny little like kind of inventions where we even see him like straight up turn people into like playing cards, but he also turns them into playing cards and then chucks them in the river, right? Basically putting them in a position where they could possibly drown. And on top of that, we even see Joker be kind of just scary in terms of like the clown aspect of what he is, right? When you lean heavily into that clown aspect of the Joker and we see these like kind of weird and unnerving settings, you continue to feel like chills go down your spine when you involve this version of the Joker. And at the end of the day, a big part of how scary he is his design. His design matters so heavily. I'm not gonna lie to you, right? When I would watch maybe the Batman live action movies, right? When you watch those, and even though Heath Ledger is the best Joker ever, right? In my opinion, when you look at him visually, he's not that scary. Now, his actions and everything he does, don't get me wrong, that is terrifying. What he does is terrifying. But he's a person, right? So sometimes you need to add a little bit extra, and I'm not saying you should add a little extra in live action. It's very difficult in live action. Trust me, I get it. But when you have that little extra with his design, like I've said before, how he's hunched over, how he's kind of like this spider-like kind of sadistic creature, his features are really sharp and exaggerated. Sometimes you need something like that to make a character as scary as this version of the Joker, right? His actions are terrifying, but his design just enhances those actions even more. I mean, his physicality, right? His abilities as a fighter as well against Batman is something that is creepy on top of it. His hand-to-hand combat is not your normal hand-to-hand combat with the Joker. The Joker's not slinging around a knife, and he's not your normal loose and flowy like hand-to-hand combat Joker. This is different, right? So this Joker jumps around. He moves in a creepy like way. It's almost spider-like in different instances, and it just adds to the layer of kind of mystique that this Joker has, right? This Joker is just unrelenting. He's like unforgivable. This Joker is terrifying. He is the monster that everyone is going to paint him out to be, not only in action, but also in face value. When you look at him and you're walking down the street, you know to turn the other way and run, right? That's what this Joker is. When you see the face of this Joker, you know that something bad is about to happen, right? He wants to make his stamp on society. He wants to make his name known to the entirety of Gotham, and that is something that basically all Jokers want, right? But the added layer of just being terrifying, the added layer of this mental torture that is being shown throughout this time, and just flat out all of the diabolical things that Joker does, with on top of that the deeper, the manic voice that is so much different than your normal lighter versions of your Joker voice. It just adds to it even more. I mean, even, and I'll go back to this multiple times, even back to the episode The Laughing Bat, even watching him in the Batman suit and you can hear his voice, it's so unsettling, right? Because it's so close to a Batman voice. You're like thinking to yourself, this is scary how close he is to the Batman persona because of his deep voice. And you could even connect it back to that. I know this isn't necessarily the truth here, like this wasn't probably what it was made for, but this Joker has a deeper voice, just like how Batman normally portrays himself, right? When he dons the cowl, right? When he's in the Batman suit, when Bruce Wayne is Batman, he has that deeper voice, the more intimidating voice that basically will scare villains. And Joker kind of has that same thing. He has a maniac's laugh, but he has a deeper voice that could put absolute fear into anybody who crosses his path. Now, I will say this, do I like the lighter voice of the Joker? Probably, because when he laughs, when the Joker with a lighter voice laughs, it's a little bit scarier. But there is something about somebody with a deep voice, somebody who is of like a deeper voice's stature, right? Normally when you hear a deep voice, most deep voices command attention, right? So that's the kind of the idea with this Joker. This Joker is asserting himself to command attention, and when he kind of manipulates people, when he tortures them, when he messes up their minds, when he even dons the cowl of the Batman, it feels as if it's another layer to have that type of voice acting, because he's not as scary in the aspect of just a crazy psychotic voice itself. The voice seems normal. That's until he starts, well, really revealing what he truly is, and starts really revealing the laugh behind the menace. And that is exactly why this version of the Joker would have given me absolute nightmares. But as always, I would love to hear what you guys have to say in the comment section below. What do you guys think about this version of the Joker? What do you guys think about this Batman animated TV show? And if you guys want to see me do more videos on this Batman TV show, make sure to show some love to the video. Make sure to tell me in the comment section below. I just felt like I really needed to talk about this Joker. I'm not 100% sure what this video is going to be called. Either going to be something like the version of the Joker that would give me nightmares, or would have given me nightmares, or the version of the Joker that absolutely terrified me, or something like that. But that's kind of a future Comic Casual issue in a little bit. Now, with that said, though, I hope you guys enjoyed the video, like I said. And yeah, if you did, leave a like, leave a sub, leave a comment down below, all that good stuff. And that's all I gotta say. If you enjoyed this video, YouTube believes that you'll enjoy this one, so might as well go check it out.